I mean.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was as well. Paul, 254-339-1122, let me know. But here's a BYU fan. I'm excited about the new rivalries. Some of the great moments from our fan base came when we played Big 12 opponents and when TCU was a part of the Mountain West. They had some dagger games, man, which turned into great rivalry. The opportunity to join the Big 12 has been something that's been on our mind since 2016. Been keeping my finger on the pulse of all the new expansion. I stumbled across your radio show when Texas and Oklahoma news came out. I have become a daily listener via YouTube. I love all the work you guys are doing, and I hope the Smoak is generally fire. And Brigham Young will join Baylor in the new Big 12. When Texas and Oklahoma moved to the SEC, I felt the Big 12 would be good if they could make it past the emotional body blows given the unexpected changes in realignment. Thanks for the text from the 801.
Absolutely. Thank you, 801.
Yeah, it looks like they have. I mean, that was the thing that you worry about with this conference is it's a very emotional group, but it was emotional. Sometimes, this is probably a bad analogy, but I'm going to use it anyway. Sometimes the dog is hyper because the owner is hyper.
Yeah.
You know, the dog is mellow when the owner is mellow. And not to say that Texas was the owner of the Big 12, but they were about as close as you could get. So, because Texas is a constant emotional roller coaster, and they are, constantly trying to impose their will, that trickles down and the rest of the league can get high strung. Well, you take them out of the equation and you sit and you have meetings without Texas and Oklahoma imposing their will and everybody saying, this is what is best for us as a group, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one right now, then you can not be emotional because the drama queens are gone.
Well, it's the difference between a team that could be pretty good, but they got a couple of, and OU and Texas fans, I'm not taking this as like a shot or mean it personally, but just the analogy that I'll use. You got a couple of prima donnas or players that think they're better than the pieces around them, right? You don't have a team. You got a couple of really good players, but you don't really have a good team. And I think, now they're losing a couple of 5-star players, no doubt about it. But I think there's more of a team that is there now. And that's going to take that conference farther than just bowing down to the mercy of your star receiver and your star quarterback every time, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And that's, you're right, Texas and Oklahoma are who they are, and they know it, and that's fine.
And look, man, they're going to the SEC. They're going to be just fine. As far as money and all that, they're going to be just fine.
What I have seen is that, for the most part, these last 2 to 3 or 4 weeks has been more about who might be a part of the Big 12 or what happens with the Big 12. But we have some great Texas and Oklahoma fans that have been a part of the show, have been a part of the chat room or whatever else. But I did notice this, and I thought this was kind of intriguing, and I know I'll be taken wrong when I say this. It's like everyone's kind of moved on. And then every once in a while they want to come in and go, hey,
we're still leaving, guys.
We're leaving.
Yeah.
And it's yes, and you are, and you should, and go. And
look, any team in the Big 12.
By the way, we're leaving. We know that.
Yeah.
It's not hating Texas and Oklahoma. I get that. That's such a silly.
No, it's just.
You're no longer a part of the conversation because you get what you want. Now somebody else is trying to get what they want.
It's like a breakup. You don't sit there and dwell on it and keep looking backwards. You start looking at other people and moving forward. And so, Texas and Oklahoma broke up with the Big 12. It was very ugly and out of nowhere. Those are the worst kind of breakups when you think everything's just cool and then all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere. So that's how the Big 12 felt. I mean, they were rocked by that. But to their credit, rather than wallow and sit in the dark room and, listen to sad music for 2 months or something, they said, you know what? Get back on my feet and get up and put my bootstraps on and get to work and do the best that I can. And they went and pretty soon found a few others that looked pretty good.
Yeah, they had their moment where they put on Air Supply and cried a little bit, and then
smoked a couple of doobies,
had gotten a warm bath with a glass of wine and had a good cry, and then they said, all right, let's
dark room.
Let's go get on Bumble and meet the love of our life.
Yeah, and then they even went on Bumble and they got people said no, but that's
by the way,
okay.
Bumble available for sponsorships.
The Ryder Cup, U.S. Ryder Cup team was announced today by